Question 61, which of the following forms of referral fees, compensation, consideration, or benefit earned when issuing a recommendation should most likely be disclosed? Only cash considerations, only considerations in the form of cash or soft dollars, or C, considerations in the form of cash, soft dollars, or in kind. So in this scenario, where you're making a recommendation for a company, you should be disclosing any type of compensation no matter what. Because in any scenario, no matter what the compensation, there is a conflict of interest there. So we're going to go with C. And I think a good rule of thumb here is it's always better to disclose more. So that would also kind of lead us to question C, or to answer C here for this question. Question 62. Blair Noir, CFA, is an analyst in the healthcare sector. Noir recently attended a meeting with the management of a company under her coverage. In the meeting, management expressed extremely positive views about a drug that is in the development stage. Based on the management's views, Noir stated in her report, in the coming years, the company will see a significant growth in sales. Which of the following statements is most accurate regarding Standard 5, Section B, communication with clients and prospective clients? So A, Noir has violated standard communication with clients and prospective clients as she presented management's statement as opinion. So she is stating it as a fact. So she's saying it will see significant growth in sales, whereas management expressed extremely positive views. So she's doing the opposite. She presented management's statement as a fact. So we're going to cross that one out since that won't be accurate. B, since Noir relied on the management statement as facts, she has violated the standard that we mentioned above again. I'm not going to say it just because it's a little cumbersome. So this sounds like it could be our answer. She is, like we mentioned, she is relying on the statement as facts when she's saying they will see significant growth in sales. So this sounds like it could be our answer, but let's just make sure we rule out C. Noir is not in violation of the standard mentioned above, as she has had a reasonable basis for her statement. She's really just going off of what management said. Since it says based on management's views, she's saying this statement. So I think that she's definitely in violation, so we can cross that out and we'll go with B. Question 63. Mandy Elmar, CFA, has been researching Zoom Corp. Elmar was almost done with her research and was planning to get the report typed today and delivered to clients the next day. However, this morning, she lost her folder, which had all the Zoom Corp documents. In a panic state, she called the management of Zoom Corp, who sent her the company projections. Although Elmar did not remember the exact forecast from her report, she knew they were lower than management's projections. Therefore, Elmar reduced the forecast provided by the management of Zoom by 15%. She also used graphs and charts from another report a colleague performed on Zoom 2 years earlier. Elmar managed to finish the report and submitted it on time to the clients. Elmar has most likely, so we've got a violated, and a violated. So a lot to unpack here. And in all these answers, she's violating multiple standards. All right, so we need to make sure that in each answer she is violating all three of these. So answer A, she violated standard VA, diligence, and reasonable basis. I think we can say she definitely violated that since she lost her folder and then kind of panicked to get the results out, and especially because she just arbitrarily reduced the forecast by 15%. I mean, she knew it was lower, but that doesn't seem like the proper diligence and reasonable basis for making the recommendation. So we definitely violated that here. Misrepresentation standard, that can be I think we definitely violated here as well in that she's using charts and reports from another colleague from 2 years earlier. It's not going to be representative of the company at the current state if we're using data that's that stale. And then on record retention, that's also going to pertain to the charts because it doesn't say anything about her getting permission. Just because it's a colleague at the same firm doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't have to attribute that information to them. So I think answer A is looking like it'll be our answer, but let's just make sure we can rule out these other ones. So we already concluded that misrepresentation is certainly violated, so that part is good. Standard 3D performance presentation. It doesn't say anything about her presenting the performance of the strategy, so I don't think we violated there. So I think we can rule out B for that reason, since we're not violating that standard. And for C, well, let's just look at standard I on preservation of confidentiality. It doesn't say anything about her divulging confidential information about the company or her firm or anything like that. So we can also rule out B for that answer. And then just kind of wrap this up. This one's also going to include that preservation of confidentiality, so we'll be able to rule out C there as well. So, a lot to unpack here, but brings us to answer A ultimately. Question 64, which of the following is least likely part of standard I professionalism? We've got market manipulation, independence and objectivity, or knowledge of the law and misrepresentation. So this is really going to be kind of memorizing what falls under this standard of professionalism. So professionalism includes knowledge of the law, independence and objectivity, misrepresentation, and misconduct. So that'll lead us to go ahead and rule out C and B. And then market manipulation will be our answer. Market manipulation, as a reminder, is going to fall under integrity of capital markets standard. So that brings us to answer A. Question 65. Which of the following is the least likely motivation for the creation of GIPs? So two of our answers are going to be aligned with reasons for creating GIPs, motivation of the creation. A, improving the services offered to clients. B, standardizing the performance presentation for facilitating comparison. And C, increasing the intervention of the government in the investment industry. So C, looking at that one right away, GIPS was created by the investment industry and is also governed by the investment industry. So motivation is to decrease intervention of government in the industry. So that's going to be our answer, I think. But let's just go ahead and rule out A and B. Improving services, I think you could make the case that was a motivation for the creation of GIPS, and it kind of goes along with answer B, standardizing the performance presentation. You know, by doing this standardization, it's going to help improve the client experience and allow them to better facilitate comparison across different firms, across different strategies, and just make that overall client experience better. So we can rule those out, and we'll go with C. Question 66. Justin Scott, CFA, is an analyst and covers Amond Corp. In one of his recent meetings with the management of Amond Corp, Scott received non-material financial data. Using this information provided by management and his knowledge of the industry and competitors, Scott thinks that Amond is likely to make a tender offer to one of its competitors. If Scott's analysis is correct, this will materially impact Amond Corp's shareholders. Which of the following statements is most accurate? A, Scott should publish the report. B, Scott should not disseminate any information until the tender offer is made public. Or C, Scott should send a copy of the report to the management of Amond Corp for verification. I think we can go ahead and rule out C right away. He's the analyst. He's coming to the conclusion. So there's going to be no need for him to send a report to the management. And keywords here, I guess, are non-material financial data. So he's coming to this conclusion on his own based on his own knowledge of the industry and this non-material financial data. So this is called mosaic theory, and it's perfectly okay and even encouraged. We want to encourage financial professionals to use public information to come to their own conclusions and have different ideas and thoughts on the markets and what's going on. So this is going to be no problem publishing the report. We'll go with A. We can rule out B mainly just due to the fact that any of the information he got was non-material and anything else was public. So we're good to publish this report. Answer A. Question 67. Vin Wisely, CFA, is employed by Wise Corp to provide investment advice to pension plan participants. Wisely realizes that the stock of Wise Corp is one of the investment options for the plan participants. However, he believes that investing in Wise Corp stock is too risky for a pension plan and advises the employees not to invest in Wise Corp. The company treasurer tells Wisely that he is violating his fiduciary duty to the company by giving such advice. He also tells him that he could lose his job if he continues. Wisely should most likely continue to advise employees to sell the stock of Wise Corp, continue giving his sell recommendation but mentioning the differing opinion of the treasurer, or C, inform employees about the conflict of interest and stop advising them on the stock of Wisely Corp. So keyword here, the treasurer is telling him he's in violation of his fiduciary duty to the company. He's a fiduciary to the pension plan participants that he's giving investment advice to. So he needs to be giving his opinion independent of the company he works for. So with that in mind, I think we can go ahead and rule out C. He works for the company, so there's maybe some inherent conflict of interest there, but he is employed to provide investment advice to those plan participants. And then with B, the treasurer is not a fiduciary to the participants, nor is he an investment advisor. So his opinion really doesn't need to be accounted for in the advice that Vin Wisely is giving. So this is going to be answer A. He should continue to advise employees to sell the stock. Question 68. Financial advisors at ASDA manage individual clients' investments. To identify the most appropriate portfolio for any client, ASDA uses a model that analyzes a range of simulated portfolios and comes up with a probability of achieving different levels of return. A portfolio that gives the highest probability of achieving the client's minimum required return is selected. The advisors at ASDA are most likely not in violation, violating Standard 3C suitability, or violating Standard 1C misrepresentation. I think we can go ahead and rule out C right away. There's nothing they're doing that is misrepresenting. They're being pretty clear about the model that they're using. They're using a model to do the simulated portfolios, and that comes up with the probabilities. There's just nothing to indicate they're kind of misrepresenting what they're doing to clients, so we can rule that out. So then this is where it gets a little nuanced between not in violation of the standard or of violating the standard. Individual clients are going to have many different goals generally and different time horizons for those goals. So just selecting a portfolio based on the minimum return required is likely not going to be appropriate or suitable for the client. We're going to have to be digging into a lot of other factors like liquidity needs and time horizon of those liquidity needs in order to kind of come up with the optimal allocation. So we're going to go with B, violating Standard 3C suitability. Question 69. Jason Ali, CFA, is a senior fixed income analyst at a research firm. Ali overlooks 3 junior analysts who directly report to him. The junior officers work together as a team to generate research reports, which are reviewed by Ali upon completion. For their current assignment, the analysts are covering a corporate bond issued by Maxwell Industrials. Unbeknownst to Ali and the 2 other analysts, Lisa Douglas, one of the junior analysts, has insider information concerning an unannounced positive earnings surprise. So this should set off our antennas here a little bit. She's got insider information. This information was shared by a corporate executive for the purposes of enticing traders to purchase the issue. Based on this information, Douglas presses the other analysts to issue a buy recommendation, providing no valid justification for his decision. The report is completed and released with a buy recommendation. As Douglas's supervisor, Ali is most likely in violation of the CFA Institute Standards of Professional Conduct because she A. acted on material non-public information. So we want to be clear here. We're looking at Ali and what their violation was. So Ali is the supervisor. He was not aware that there was non-public information. So this is going to be Douglas's violation, not Ali's. And then B, this is also going to be Ali's, or not Ali. This is going to be Douglas's violation too, because she didn't disclose the insider information to her team members. So by virtue of that, Ali didn't directly act on the material non-public information. So that's going to leave us with answer C, but let's just make sure that seems correct. Issued a recommendation that lacked a reasonable and adequate basis. So the keywords here are Douglas pressing the other analysts to issue the buy recommendation, providing no valid justification for his decision. So since Ali's in charge of reviewing anything that these analysts puts out, he should be pressing a lot harder for diligence and reasonable basis and good justification for putting out this report. So he's going to be in violation of C, issuing a recommendation that lacked the reasonable and adequate basis. Question 70. Consider the following statements about the role of composites in performance presentation. So we've got our 3 statements here, and then which of the above statements about composites is our most likely accurate? So we've got 1 only, 1 and 2 only, or 1, 2, and 3. So like we've kind of mentioned before, since 1 is in every answer, we know it's going to be accurate. So on the exam, you can just go ahead and skip looking at that and focus on 2 and 3. Help save you a little bit of time. We'll still look at 1 just for explanation purposes. So composites help in presenting a firm's performance under various asset classes. So composites are the name for the groupings of discretionary portfolios, and this would certainly different asset classes would be put into different composites. So this is certainly a true statement. Composites are going to help in presenting the firm's performance under those different groupings or asset classes. Statement 2, composites help evaluate a firm's performance in a single statistic that enables comparison across firms. Composites can be 4 different asset classes, as we mentioned in statement 1. So if other firms don't have similar composites or similar asset classes, those strategies aren't going to be apples to apples. And so having similar, the nature of composites in themselves does not necessarily enable comparison across firms. So that being said, we can say that statement 2 is not accurate. So that with that in mind, if we were taking the exam, since 2 is in both B and C, we could go ahead and just choose A, since we know that 2 is in both those and it's not right, so we can cross that off. But let's just take a look at C, or sorry, not C, statement 3, just to make sure we read everything properly. Statement 3, composites help the investor to evaluate if a firm is GIPS compliant. composites themselves aren't going to help you to know whether a firm's GIPS compliant. You're going to need to understand the firm's policies and procedures and everything that goes into that to determine if the performance presentation lines up with GIPS. So we'll stick with answer A.